Continual praises and honor and thanks to Jehovah. I have a lot of things to give thanks to the Most High for. First and foremost, we should all try to realize the significance of the fact that the Most High revealed himself unto us in our generation. That was a magnificent move, timely for us. And consider also that brother that you have, or that sister, maybe even your mother, father, whoever it is that you have that in your estimation is a better person than you are, you know, who the Most High did not allow to know his name. And right up to the very day, the Most High has not allowed them to recognize who he is, and that he has not called us and awakened us for naught. I mean, it's a very great exposure that we have here. And knowing ourselves, we should also thank the Most High for having patience with us and giving us an opportunity to fear him, giving us the rules and the regulations for altering our lifestyles that we may become better people and ultimately a candidate for the remnant, and allowing us to produce children who have also an opportunity to be a part of this great kingdom that the Most High is going to establish, allowing us to raise children that have not ever in their lives bowed down to an idol. That is very great stuff. You know, I know that our lifestyles change gradually for the better as we learn more and more the fear of the Most High. The fear of the Most High. What is the fear of the Most High? That you broaden your considerations, that you can really consider truthfully and deeply the things that are before us, that we now have something to base our understanding and base our decision making on. That being the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. You may pass, sister, if you want to go to your seat, brother. It is a marvelous thing, a miraculous thing, a wondrous thing that the Most High has revealed unto us his own statutes, his own standards that he gave to our forefathers, that they may have they had the opportunity to exalt themselves above the nations, be a whole nation of people that would stand between the Most High and the rest of the people of the world, to make known the truths of the Most High and the fantasies of their ancestors. I give thanks to the Most High for these things every single day, as I continue to recognize what a marvelous thing this is. And in this great work, I've also come to understand and know that the Most High is true to his word. We know where we came from. We know what we were doing. And unfortunately, some of us still have not been able to extricate ourselves from the activities that the Most High hates. And even more unfortunate than that, we have sons and daughters that have not worshiped idols, but they still are lured and ensnared by the ways of the nations. Don't think that the Israelite that's sitting next to you, and this is not literal, don't think that that Israelite that you know to be an Israelite is an honorable Israelite. Because we all know, and knowing our learning curve, you have to learn to be an honorable Israelite. You have to learn the value of an active and successful pursuit of righteousness and dignity and self-respect, because these things are being restored unto us in these days. There's nothing really to be compared to this. When I say to compare with this, I'm talking of the opportunity that we have. An opportunity to make a positive, a very positive and upright contribution to the future of our offspring, to our children and our children's children, who are now being brought forth. Now we have to establish dignity among us. Something that has, lots of things have eluded us. We don't always really get it. And I want to say this. Because a person speaks well of the Most High and speaks with dignity and understanding, that he or she would demonstrate themselves to be some type of an Israelite that is to be respected. We've learned to be very, very devious among these nations. It's not always true. We've become the greatest actors and actresses that exist on the face of the earth, because we had to pretend. We had to deviate to sustain ourselves and to sustain our offspring. We've had to be treacherous and deal underhanded. But now, in the magnificence of the Most High, we no longer have to deal with that in that manner. Because in the introduction, it has become clear to us that if we conduct ourselves with dignity and with honor and respect to the Most High and respect for each other, then the Most High would prosper the works of our hands and the pursuits of our minds to become even more honorable and more respectful and respectable and trustworthy. In the times that we're going to deal with in our history, which begins in the 19th chapter of Numbers and the first verse, there was a lot of stuff going on in the camp. Amazing stuff. Even to the great legislator Moshe, who was now functioning under a penalty of death, and the great priest Aharon, and all the elders that came out of Egypt, all of those that were 21 years old and 20 years old and over. There was a death sentence on our people. Very high mortality rate going on among the people of Yisrael, because the Most High had already spoken it, and he was busy fulfilling it, that over 750,000 people of the Israelites had to die. And this was being accomplished by various means. And there was still rebellion in the camp. People who did not understand, that could not understand, and that became clear to the Most High. They could not, would not do those things that the Most High introduced to us that were effective immediately. Lots of people have been displaced. Priesthood dismantled. People of great stature and great abilities, I mean very well skilled people, were to be eliminated from us as a people. And when you see these types of things going on, there's no need to really fear, because the Most High has great foresight He has it all planned out, the way that he's going to achieve his goals with this people. As we look at each other and become disgusted, as we see the activities of people that try to undermine you, the people who are stagnant, people who seemingly have no inspiration or real direction, don't you be dismayed. Concentrate on self and your family. There will be those among your family even, possibly, that you will not be able to reach, that will defy you on every turn. There will be those among the congregations, whichever one you go to, that if they see that you are a diligent person, industrious person, and they are not, they won't applaud you, you know. The sluggard will not applaud and support the diligent ones. There's no way that's going to happen. Because if he had any type of initiative, that person wouldn't be a sluggard. That person would be trying to find something that he can make a contribution to this great work, this great redemptive struggle that's going on among the Israelites. Much confusion and dissension in the camp of Yisrael, then and now. Numbers chapter 19, verse 1, as the Most High gives up more pertinent information.
Numbers the 19th chapter, verse 1.
Petach Mike.
And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe and unto Aharon, saying, This is the statute of the law which Yahweh hath commanded, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they may bring thee a red heifer, faultless, wherein there is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke. And ye shall give it unto Eleazar the priest, and she shall be brought forth without the camp, and she shall be slain before his face. And Eleazar the priest shall take of her blood with his finger, and sprinkle of her blood toward the front of the tent of meeting 7 times. And the heifer shall be burnt in his sight. Her skin and her flesh, with her blood and with her dung, shall be burnt.
Now, this is introducing something that is very important. Now, this procedure that has just been identified in those first 5 verses, we cannot conduct. We cannot do this. First of all, we don't have cows. We don't have red heifers. This whole procedure here. Now, the message in this procedure that is relevant to us in this time, in these days and in these times, is that we should be very cautious. We should bear this one in mind, because most of us have parents that are alive. Some of us have sons and daughters that are alive. Some of us will sire sons and daughters, and we have wives and husbands. See? Now, this procedure should make us cautious in the way we respond to the grief of death of those that we love, those that we are close to. And when that person dies, this particular portion of law should come to our minds.
Verse 6. And the priest shall take cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet, and cast it into the midst of the burning of the heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water, and afterward he may come into the camp. And the priest shall be unclean until the even. And he that burneth her shall wash his clothes in water and bathe his flesh in water, and he shall be unclean until the even.
Now, the irony, there's some strangeness about this here. And there's a reason why we should not feel at ease to speak, greatly, on the magnificence of the Most High because we don't know it. The Most High is far beyond any mind of any person that he has created. As he said it, as high as the heavens above the earth are his thoughts above the thoughts of men. Now here is a procedure that's being taught here where they select this prize female cow and they bring it to the priest, and the priest does whatever it would be that he would do with it or say above it. And they would bring it out and they would burn this thing. They would burn this animal. And they would throw various herbs in there with it. Now the person now when you kill a clean animal, you do not become unclean. And a cow is a clean animal. Right. But in this procedure, when they are burning this heifer, they become, the priest that burns them, officiates over the burning, the ones who burn it, become unclean. And a tradition has to occur. Mm-hmm. They have to wash their clothes and take a bath, washing their entire body from hair to soles of the feet. And when the time passes and it becomes evening, right on into the night, they become clean. Okay? Now, this is from the burning of a clean animal. This is a particular procedure that's being taught here, straight from the Most High. There are warnings that go along with this.
And a man that is clean shall gather the ashes of the heifer and lay them up without the camp in a clean place. And it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for waters of sprinkling. It is a purification from sin.
Now, look at the reason for this stuff. These herbs and these ashes. That the whole cow was burnt. I mean, the dung, the urine, everything that the cow had eaten. I mean, everything. It's all burned to ashes. The blood, the whole nine. The internal organs, everything burned to ashes carefully. And these ashes had these herbs that were thrown into this concoction. And these things were carefully gathered, very carefully gathered, and put into a clean place. Notice the steps. The persons that get involved with this thing become unclean because of the procedure. And these are waters of purification. That's the main thing to be aware of. This whole concoction was to concoct waters of purification.
Verse 10. He that gathereth the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even.
There it is again. Waters of these ashes, the waters of purification are to be made of. Make the clean person unclean.
And it shall be unto the children of Yisrael and unto the stranger that sojourns among them for a statute forever. He that touches the dead, even any man's dead body, shall be unclean 7 days.
Now, this is the part that is the warning, and this is where caution should come into our minds. Because this is what this concoction is for. We don't have this concoction that will cleanse you from the uncleanness that comes forth from the dead or the grave, as it will be further identified as we go along. So the consideration would be, since we do not have these waters of purification, and there is a stigma that comes with death that makes you unclean when you are closely related to the death of a person, or when you touch a grave, or when you touch a dismembered party of a dead body, you become unclean.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, since we do not have this concoction, it seems to me that it would be prudent, even wise, to not defile yourself with the dead. It's your mother. Okay, fine. The Most High has made his final decision about your dear beloved father, mother, brother, sister, family member, whoever. You don't want to defile yourself to have it in your mind as you partake of a feast that you're required to partake of. I am unclean by the dead. And in reality, I should not be here doing this.
Verse 12. The same shall purify himself therewith on the third and on the seventh day, and he shall be clean.
Now, this is the way it is. On the third day, the day that you become unclean, that's day one. Nighttime comes, that commences day two. And then there's day three. This is the day that the law that we're studying now requires that you be sprinkled with this bunch of hyssop dipped in this concoction. On the third day, you should be sprinkled with it. And on the seventh day, you should be sprinkled with this same concoction to rid yourself of the uncleanness from the dead. Now it goes on to say,
but if he purify not himself on the third and the seventh day, he shall not be clean. Whosoever toucheth the dead, even the body of any man that is dead, and purified not himself, he hath defiled the tabernacle of Yahweh.
Now you don't want to do that. See, this is we're trying to recover from something here. Right. This requires information. And it is unwise for you to come in here every week, or any place that you may go every week, and depend on other people to teach you exactly how to live your life. Say what? You just heard that from the chief. When you have these things, I mean, even when you have the problems, when you've been disgraced, when you've been played, been used, abused, you have to try to find the antidote to that in the culture of our God, the culture of our ancestors. You have to understand this clearly, that in most cases, the answer is there. At least you can find some peace of mind. You must remember that these things require that you avoid certain things. Do not expose yourselves to certain things, because there are rules and regulations that deal with almost everything that you can think of. And we have not been reestablished to the point that we have access to these antidotes. So caution should be the state of mind. Careful. Don't rush. Take your time. Because when you come into a situation like this, where people are speaking and teaching and even striving to live correctly, know where we're coming from. No matter the morality of the Christians, no matter the morality of the Muslims, we even dealing with the little fat Chinese guy now. Everything. We are involved in everything, because you know how it happens. You come into a world and you are exposed to parents. And the parents will teach you, if they care about you, they will teach you to the best of their ability. But consider our parents. Your mother, your father that you love so dearly, who you have been blessed above them. You can see their morality. You can see that they have learned through life to live a more calm life. But our family members are basically idol worshipers. They will counsel you. They will give you instructions. They will get disgusted with you because you will not continue in the way that they taught you all your life, the way that society has taught you in all your life, to look out, see what's going on in the society, and choose from that the way that you want to go. Whether you want to be a Catholic, a Protestant, upper room Baptist, lower room Baptist, whatever it is that you find out there, choose from that. As long as it's something that's associated with JJ. Choose from that. This is our upbringing. Throughout the islands, all across the 50 states of America, wherever it was that we were born, throughout our homeland of Africa, whatever. It's the same thing. Now, you have been blessed above your mother to have the opportunity to say that glorious sound, that powerful and influential sound that had been held back from your ancestors for millennia. Yehovah. You know that this was not done in vain. Upon the introduction to the great name, you have learned things that you never knew before. We all have. The first thing that we learn about is usually the Shabbat. There are many, many rules that go along with the observances, the acceptable observances of the Shabbat. We need to know these things. Don't wait, because we go lesson by lesson. We cover certain portions on a regular Shabbat basis. There will be those who will stand and elaborate, will point out things that are not covered in the particular lesson of the day for your benefit, because it would be important to a person, theoretically, who stands in this position to teach you those things that you need to know, to try to nullify the implants, the mind control that tells us that there is no worthy one among us to teach you anything about God. There's no worthy one among us that is worthy of being a warrior, a counselor, a husband, a wife, a father. This is the way they look at us, and this is the way they have prepared our minds, damaged our minds. That it would be innate that we believe all of these things. We're open to accept these things that are coming forth from their agents, the preachers, the teachers, the counselors, the courts, the police officers that have designated you to be a product to support their institutions as they crush you into the ground, as they pervert your ways and destroy your sons and your daughters. This is not a thing that is done in vain, no matter what has happened so far to you. We do not want to be caught up in guilt because of a lack of knowledge or because of a lack of understanding. Study. Take full advantage of all the things that the Most High has given you access to. I know that our lives have been designed, that we go to school, some of us, learn a trade, and go to work. Or some of us who didn't go to school would use whatever skills we picked up along the way, or go and hire ourselves out to do whatever it is that the slave masters would pay us to do. And you work so hard, and you work so long, and you come home and you are tired. You're hungry. You have a family maybe at home. If you don't, you have yourself, which is a job in itself. And I have to commend mothers and wives, because you sisters have to go to work too. Unfortunately, sometimes you don't have men that will go to work. Sometimes you have wives that don't want to work. The reality of the economic situation is everybody needs to work. And then there's home. Home is a job. Home is a major job. Sometimes I feel sorry for my Isha, who goes out and work all day and then has to come home and take care of me and some more girls. I even help her sometimes. But this is the way it is. You still have to find ways to gain access to the information that would allow you to live an acceptable life before the Most High, and discover all of those things that you need to thank the Most High for.
Verse 13. Whosoever toucheth even the dead body of any man that is dead and purifieth not himself, he hath defiled the tabernacle of Yahweh. That one shall be cut off from Yisrael.
That's very important. That's very important. This law should be in your mind. You know, even in the absence of the knowledge of this law, or any portions of this law, when we violate it, we are guilty. The lack of knowledge is no excuse for being guilty. So therefore, that should tell us how important it is to know the laws. We don't have sin offerings now. We can't make up for it. If you have these things that make you guilty, make you unclean, and you know you don't have the antidote for it, what would be the wise thing to do?
Stay away. Refrain from.
That's just common sense. Stay clean. Stay clean if you possibly can, because your guilt will haunt you as your information and as your understanding increases. Unfortunately, we have preferences. 9 times out of 10, when you compare the ways of the Most High, which are our ways as a nationality, with the ways of the nations, in the damaged mind, in the controlled mind, the indoctrinated mind, the ways of the nations are preferable. Just think about it. In this time of liberation, liberated women, time of out of the closet faggots and dykes. I mean, it's like liberty.
Because the waters of sprinkling was not dashed against him, he shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet upon him. Verse 14. This is the law. When a man dies in a tent, everyone that comes in a tent and everything that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days.
And then it cannot be, the antidote is still the part of it, the sprinkling of the waters of purification. We're in serious trouble here, y'all. we are in big time trouble. We can't get away from uncleanness and sin, no matter how we try. The presumptuous crimes against the Most High are what cuts us off. It's not the Most High's fault that we don't have these things. It's the fault of our ancestors. Your ancestors got you into this position, and this is a much better position than your recent ancestors were in. Now, with that as a consideration, knowing clearly that the penalties that fall upon the fathers, that fall upon the parents, and on the family will be passed on to the next generation after them, and on and on and on. This is a very great opportunity that we have here to break the cycle, to have good deeds that the Most High will consider when he considers our offspring, when he considers our current families, our wives, our husbands, our children, our brethren. Keep these in mind, because we need to prosper here, you know. We really need to get up out of this junk that our ancestors got us into. We need to find a way to break the curse that has been hounding us for millennia. 10 centuries, okay, make one millennium. And we've been out here for millennia. It's not supposed to be easy. But obviously, we have the opportunity. We need to adjust our lifestyles to that. Look at the things we can adjust our lifestyles to. The boss on the job. The professors in the school. The girlfriend. The boyfriend. The husband. The child. We adjust for these things. Some of these adjustments that we have to make do not make contributions. They create deficits. Adjust. I mean, you'll get used to it. It's like learning how to eat food with no salt. Not easy, but beneficial in many, many cases. Right, Barbara? That's a little nudge on Barbara, because, you know, we got it like that, you know. But, no, do it. Think. Be decisive. You know, don't just go along with the crowd, or because that's what you used to enjoy doing, you're going to keep on doing it. Grow up. Snap out of it. Because it feels good, that doesn't make it right. Because it looks good, that doesn't make it right. It's your life. It's your life. You only get one.
Numbers chapter 19, verse 15. And every open vessel which hath no covering, closed, bound upon it, it is unclean. And whosoever in the open field toucheth one that is slain with the sword, or that dieth of himself, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. And
you must be sprinkled. That's why I'm saying, avoid these situations. I mean, your idolatrous family members will not understand. But so be it. Your choice is, do you follow the Most High? Or do you follow the influence of your beloved idolatrous relative? Choice is yours.
And for the unclean, they shall take up the ashes of the burning of the purification from sin, and running water shall be put thereto in a vessel.
Now, running water. Now, this is spring water, like flowing waters, waters that flow. Because these are the clean waters. The waters just sit there. They are not clean. They have all types of things in them because they don't have the stones and the continuous flow of the water to cleanse themselves. You see? Running water. And this does not necessarily mean the faucet, because these waters come out of a reservoir. That's why we need filters too. Just want to throw that one in. We need filters in our houses, water filters, because they put poison in the waters to eliminate bugs and stuff. I mean, they poison the water to cleanse it.
And a clean person shall take hyssop and dip it in the water and sprinkle it upon the tent and upon all the vessels and upon the persons that were in there, and upon him that touched the bone or the slain or the dead or the grave. And the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the 3rd day and on the 7th. And on the 7th day he shall be purified, and he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at even.
Now, clean person, clean. Let's talk a little bit about clean. Because clean is, you look at people, and they use, particularly the sisters, they have these pretty feet, pedicured nails. You can look at the heels and tell that they work at it. They got them, some of them still do manicures, which we need to think about the manicures, because when you're cooking, that polish has been known to chip, fall into the food. That's something that we really need to consider. Moving right along, people look clean and smell good and all that. Some people right here, people right here. But that does not mean that you are ritually clean. To be ritually clean, it means that you have washed your entire body, hair included. I have to emphasize hair included because, when black people wash their hair, it's what they call goes back. I prefer to say it goes forward, because our hair is what our hair is. And we've been the best in the world physically. And then when we're doing it right morally, and our beauty and strength is incomparable among the nations.
Right.
When we preparing ourselves to be ritually clean, our whole body is clean. And it has been done prior to the commencement of the day. Like, to be clean today, you will have had to taken your bath yesterday, close up to the Shabbat, or anytime yesterday would be fine, as long as you were in a clean environment. Okay? And as the day comes in, any uncleanness that you have had by the encounters of the day, most of them will be nullified at the commencement of the day, which is the darkness. When the darkness comes in, the day changes. And the clothes. There's more of the preparation to be clean, ritually clean. The sheets. The chairs. Your entire environment has to be prepared. I'm not saying that you should take your brush in a tub to wash your sofa every week, but there is a way that you can do it with just water, just dampness. You have to learn to be clean. It takes preparation. It takes information to deal successfully with the Most High. Make notes of these things in your mind. Go back and read and check it out. And make sure that you're not getting bogus advice. Mama.
Numbers 19 chapter, verse 20. But the man that shall be unclean and shall not purify himself, that one shall be cut off from the midst of the assembly, because he hath defiled the sanctuary of Yahweh. The waters of sprinkling have not been dashed against him. He is unclean.
Now, this says man. Mankind, okay, we're talking mankind, man, woman, child.
And it shall be a perpetual statute unto them. He that sprinkled the water of sprinkling shall wash his clothes. And he that toucheth the water of sprinkling shall be unclean until the evening.
Now check that out. You don't even try to figure it out, but just understand it. Here I am. It doesn't have to be a priest, but it just has to be a person that is clean, that has prepared himself for this particular procedure. This person is sprinkling the waters that are going to make you clean. And that procedure is going to make the sprinkler of the water unclean. Now, we don't have enough information to figure out Jehovah. We just need to find out what he wants us to do, what he requires of us, and do it. I do not, in fact, I know that when the Most High created the man, created people, he did not create minds that could understand him. Think of who he is. Can you think of some of his attributes? Can you think of lots and lots of his glory? Now think of all the stuff that is just coming to light. They had to rewrite the encyclopedias. And think beyond of all the billions and billions of heavenly bodies. And they're continually being born. Galaxies are producing galaxies, according to what those white people say. How do I know? I know. Stars, things are exploding and creating other stuff. They're still finding planets. The Most High is to be feared.
Amen.
The fear of the Most High, in the fear of the Most High, you consider things that would be results of other things. What we want is peace. What we want is some prosperity. What we want is to make a contribution to the reestablishment of our nation. So we won't have to be piletim, refugees, homeless, languageless, cultureless. We have nothing. Before we walked into the doors of some learned people, we had nothing that was our own, that dealt with our own heritage, our own culture, nothing that related to our ancestry except our appearances. Nothing. And it takes more than a minute. It takes more than a minute to be able to stand up and speak intelligently on these things. Any one of us can do it. Any one of us can learn to do it. But these things will always vary because the application, the acquiring And the application of this information will vary with the diligence of the people. There will be those that will be scholarly. There will be those that will be great teachers. There will be those who, in another category, are great leaders. There will be all different levels of acceptance of the one that will stand before you to teach. It's always been like that among us. That's why the Most High says judges and cops. You need judges and police officers that they can bring forth the righteous judgment of the Most High, because the judgment is not the judgment of the righteous judge. The judgment belongs to the Most High.
Verse 22, and whatsoever the unclean person touch shall be unclean, and the one that touches him shall be unclean until the even.
Now if I'm unclean from the dead, and I touch you, you become unclean from the dead. But it's not one of those things that you need to be sprinkled on the third and the seventh day. You know, you need to just deal with it like you would deal with a sexual intercourse. Go home and take a bath, change your clothes, wash the clothes you had on when you were unclean, and you're good to go. Not required. Secondhand contamination does not require the sprinkling.
Chapter 20. And the children of Yisrael, even the whole congregation, came unto the wilderness of Sin in the first month. And the people abode in Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried there.
Now wait. Now there's a lot of time that has transpired from the time that Korach and all of those did whatever it was they did, and the extermination of the hundreds of thousands of Israelites. This shows clearly that all of our information about all of our ancestry is not found in between the pages of a book. How could a great nation like us, how could a great God like the Creator be contained in the pages of a book? There's a lot more information about us out there somewhere. In the hands of our captors, in their museums, somewhere. There's a lot more information out there about us and the mighty acts of Jehovah.
Amen.
But the law, this is favor. This is kind consideration that the Most High has the law among us, wherever it was that we have been scattered. Did you have a Tanakh over there in whatever? Barbados? Did you have a Bible over there? Did you have one out there in Grenada, Jamaica, America? Wherever it is that we are. The word is right there waiting for the day that the Most High would say, okay, return, begin to return. And the announcement is also there that not all of those of the Israelites who try to return or even want to return will be permitted to return. And those that utterly refuse to return, just recognize what that's about. They're doomed. I have to consider that. All of my brothers were idol worshipers. My aunts, my uncles, my grandmother, my grandfather, all idol worshipers. This is the bitterness that comes with the sweet. Love your parent right now. Love her, love him, hug him, Try to continue to enlighten if they leave you any space to try that. Because a lot of us have already been written off. My son, my daughter, they say, have lost their minds. They've gone over there and have gotten brainwashed. They don't even turn to JC. They will, from the bottoms of their considerations, they will try, because they love you, to tell you and show you the benefit of worshiping that idol. There's no benefit in it. I know your mother's nice, your father's a nice and respectable guy. It's an idol worshiper. I mean, I don't know, I think blasphemy is the only crime that's greater than idol worship.
Verse 2.
Love them while you got them. You know, but don't let them influence you. I mean, keep up the respect. Show the increased respect coming from this way of life. That is a commandment from an offspring to a parent. Don't get arrogant. But show them the love that you can. But don't be influenced.
Nope.
Stay your way. Increase in your way. Because your way is from the real God, the Creator. Don't let them make you ashamed. They will try diligently to make you ashamed. They will cut you off because they're scared of you, because you don't love JJ. Don't be influenced by that junk. You're the one that has the blessing.
Verse 2. And there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled themselves together against Moshe and against Aharon. And the people strove with Moshe and spoke, saying, would that we had perished when our brethren perished before Yahweh.
Hold it right there. The Maftir said that the message that he got from that portion of the Maftir is watch your mouth. I know I can remember stuff that happened when I was 4. I can remember insults that were cast upon me when I was a kid. Got to watch that mouth to make sure that you don't say things to someone that you care about, somebody that you really want to try to keep in your life, that will hurt them, because everyone has a memory. And our minds tend to cleave onto those things that are negative much more diligently than they cling onto those things that are positive and right. Look at these people here. It's like almost 40 years later. I mean, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have died for the same things. And they talking about, I wish. Now, where does that come from? I wish I was dead already so I won't have to die. Where's that? Where is that? What is that?
And why have ye brought the assembly of Yahweh to this wilderness to die here, we and our cattle?
He's not talking about Moshe. They're talking about Yahweh. Because they saw those 10 plagues. They saw those wondrous acts. They saw the destructions of those gods.
And wherefore have ye made us to come up out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place?
Yeah, because it was great in Egypt, right? Nice slaves. It's like the time that they emancipated us in this country by force. Let me just make sure that you don't think it was the benevolence of some white boy. Because the Most High had made these people catch a fight between each other over us. And you know that a majority, or quite a large number, of our immediate ancestors were glad to put on a blue uniform and pick up some guns and go back against those slave masters that they had escaped from. You see? So the Most High emancipated us from that slavery and put the power in our hand to take vengeance out upon those people that enslaved us and lynched us. All of those organizations. And upon the end of slavery, there were formed all types of hate groups that sought to oppress us continually, to lynch us, burn us, kill us, emasculate us in every manner, destroy any semblance of a family structure from among us. We haven't recovered from that yet. In most cases, we have not regained the respect of our wives. And the pity of it all is, in a lot of those same cases, we have not become respectable. That's the pity of it. And it's the same with our wives. They have not really regained our confidence and trust. There always comes the negative speculation that you have to say to yourself, I'm not going to treat this person in accordance with what I'm thinking because I don't have any evidence against this person. And this is just a feeling that it's something that was put in there by those that sought to destroy us. Sometimes it's not there. Sometimes she is what you need. Sometimes he is. Sometimes you're a good match. But the negativeness has already been programmed into our consciousness and into our subconscious. That's also something that we need to overcome somewhere. But see, I know of the great disappointment of putting your trust into someone who's not trustworthy. That's where the major pain comes in. The feeling of betrayal. All of these things will remain among us as parts of our considerations, parts of our beings, and our associations with each other until we really, really and truly deal with each other mentally, physically, morally, in accordance with the laws of the Most High God. People still have motives, jealousies, arrogancy, stupidity. I mean, this is among the people who have come forth to try to find favor with the Most High God. It's still in here, still among us. Right here in this room. Not everybody. But we all know the struggle as we turn from Negro into Israelite, or from when the time that we realized what it was that our parents were trying to tell us when we were little Israelites born in the law. And that we thought that to accomplish our goals and desires, we only had to deceive our parents. Now you find that you've deceived yourself and have become guilty before the Most High when your Israelite parents was trying to teach you to be a better Israelite than they were. Now you're guilty. Now you got to try to appease the Most High. You got to beg now. Say, I'm sorry. Don't do it. You know it's wrong. Just don't do it. I know you've made that decision about something in your life. I'm not doing that. There are things that you will not do, no matter what. There are things like that. Everyone in this room and everyone in those places like this, there are those that have made decisions that I'm just not going to do that wickedness. The problem is there is still temptation. There's still arrogancy. There's still deviousness. I mean, treacherous deviations from the law among us. Right here. In this room. Unfortunately. Whoever you are, you know it. You know it.
Verse 5. And wherefore have ye made us to come up out of Egypt, to bring us into this evil place? It's not a place of seeds or figs or vines or pomegranate, neither is there any water to drink.
This is hate. This is hatred. Israelite towards Israelite. Pure, unadulterated hatred with plenty of support, plenty of sympathizers. Because life gets harsh, turning evil and wicked, treacherous. That's not going to help. When it turns out bad, when it's a disappointment, it didn't work out the way you thought it would, or hoped that it would, or prayed that it would. Don't look to the Most High and say, hey, what happened? Look inward. Look at yourself. Say, this is probably why this is happening to me. And we all have that. We all have, this is probably why this is happening to me. Let's just be real with ourselves and don't sin against your own life. Don't become a criminal. Don't remain a criminal, because the violators of the laws of the Most High are criminals. The ones that can look at wickedness and say, I see an opportunity in this, are criminals, criminal-minded. And that's something we want to get out of for our own good and to make a positive contribution to the existence of our future generations, if we have not already blown it. I know when the Most High pronounced the death sentence on all of those Israelites that he killed out there in that wilderness by various means, a lot of them really tried from that point when they said, you're going to die. A lot of them really tried. I know. They're Israelites. I know. They really tried to straighten out their lives, but it was already too late. There is such a thing. It's too late. Don't fool yourself with that confusion to think you still have time. You should live every second of your life like this may have been the last one. The last crime that you committed would maybe be the last one you're going to be allowed to survive. And the Most High does not necessarily and not only deliver death as penalties. There are major stuff, there are major things like to tear you apart and cause your body to be defective. There are things like stress, betrayals, associated with, liars and people who hate you, disappointment. Man, you know that disappointment takes away your appetite. It makes your acid flow and damage your digestive system. And all these systems are linked. The Most High can make you miserable. And he can deal in another way. You can't pinpoint, you can't just categorize the Most High, because he can give you the success that will destroy your life. I know I got it like this. And you're heading straight to the grave, straight to all kinds of calamity and disorder. Fear Yehovah. He is to be feared. And I'm not just talking, when I'm talking fear, and I know this to be the proper context, I'm not talking about, not just hate to hurt him. Because how you will hurt God? God will hurt you. I'm not talking about, you don't want to disappoint God. That's not the fear I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fear that says, if I take advantage of this access that I have to this particular crime, the outcome of it will probably be disastrous. If I lay down with this particular person, I may get AIDS. Syphilis. And you can name off a whole bunch of them. I'm not going to belabor the point. But the fear of the Most High also consists of the consideration of what might happen as a result of this act.
Verse 6.
It works positive and negative.
And Moshe and Aharon went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tent of meeting, and fell upon their faces, and the glory of Yahweh appeared unto them.
When they fall on their faces, it's not just like Dumbo. They went and bowed down, put their faces down. There's an approach, man. Look, what kind of an approach is it that a person would be ashamed to actually prostrate himself before the Most High God? There's shame in that, to some people. There is a certain level of arrogancy in that too, would you say?
Amen.
I ain't bowing down to no God. I think you could pray to the Most High if you can pray to the Most High from the sick bed, when you're begging him to save your life, I think you can pray to him when you're sitting on the commode. Now that is a mind-boggling statement to some people that just heard it. If the Most High is going to hear you, he's going to hear you. And if he's not, he's just not. You know, you're praying for your baby to be born healthy. What contribution did you make towards that end, that goal? What is this baby a product of? Love? Law? Statutes? Commandments? Adultery? Whoredom? What? What? It's life we're dealing with here, brother, sister. Life. We are at a very serious deficit in the entire world. I don't like it down here. I hate it. I hate the daily stress of trying to live in someone else's inheritance. I hate the idea of being a refugee. I hate it. I hate the fact that I'm cursed. To have to pray for the Most High to forgive the treacheries of my ancestors. And me for my treacheries. And my son for their treacheries. And pray for the unborn generations who will be exposed to treacheries and hatred and cursing and vexation. We're in trouble out here, y'all. Don't y'all know you're in trouble? That house doesn't really belong to you. Mama.
Verse 7. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying,
Here's a commandment.
Take the rod and assemble the congregation, thou and Aharon thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock in their eyes.
Speak to the rock in the front of the Israelites. Now, here's something that, now, you know this. Most of you already know what's going to occur, what has occurred here. But let me tell you something. There are a lot of things to be cognizant of. If you're an Israelite that is not conducting yourself as an Israelite, there's crime in that. If you're an Israelite that you, in all appearance and name, you are an Israelite and you're conducting yourself as a Negro, there's crime in that. People think that clothes doesn't matter. Clothes don't matter. Clothes matter. With your appearance, you associate yourself with the Most High God. Wearing those signs with the holy name on them. Those fringes. These people see that and they associate you. This is one that knows the laws of the Most High God. And then they watch you, because they watch you. When you go out of your house, when you catch that same train you catch every day, when you go to your job, your school, they watch you. I wonder if this is a nigger in disguise. And unfortunately, we compromise our ways to get to associate with those who are less blessed than you and me. Compromise our ways. How could we compromise our ways knowing the ways of the people where we just left from? How could we do that? Where is the sanity in that? It's a crime. Clothes don't make a difference. Clothes demonstrate states of mind in most cases. Your Israelite attire shows you to be one that is striving for autonomy. Your compliance with the laws, the statutes, the culture, taking advantage of the Most High, allowing you, there's language among you now. You can do like the other people do if you put some effort into it. You can speak to your wife or your kid, your little baby, from the birth in your own language. And you don't have to suffer the shame of looking like who you are and still communicating in a way that people know that you have not maximized your efforts. I can see it. I've heard it. Because when they see you, curiosity peaks. I wonder who that is. I wonder who that is. Because most of the people in the world are black. Individual, sovereign nationalities of people. I wonder who that is. They start to speculate. Maybe this is an Indian. Never even thinking this is one of their escapees, one of their captives that have escaped, at least partially. Get a little closer. They want to ease up. Sometimes they're bold. They ask you questions. But our conduct and our inabilities and unwillingness to put forth the efforts that are required to be reestablished, we have to be reestablished fully. There's not a thing called enough. There's not a thing called enough that we have put into this heritage. Because we're still down. It is a fact that when we conduct ourselves appropriately to whatever level that we are capable, and we continue to seek, we will grow, we will expand our capabilities to the time that we will follow after the Most High with a thing they call kal lev. That's what all of our physical, mental, and moral abilities, that the Most High take us back. Why would any one of us contribute to our stagnation? Why would a brother or sister have to be harassed because their pursuit is at a higher level than the other one? Why should a brother or sister be harassed and called holier than thou when holy is the goal? Yep. Holy is the commandment. Holy is the requirement. Holy comes with being righteous. You can't talk holy. You can't dream holy. Holy is a result of achievement. And we're required to be that. And some of us just don't even care. Just don't care. I don't have the energy. I don't have the desire. I don't have the inclinations. Oh, well, I'm not the worst Israelite in the world. You better be trying to be the best. And you're going to get opponents. Please pass. You're going to get people who are going to try to block you from the blessings that you're trying to seek. And even if you're not doing it for blessing, but to pay back. to make a deposit on the future. Now, if this thing had not been done, nobody's doing this thing. You look over and you see this thing, whatever it is. Nobody's paying attention to this point right here. Nobody's doing this. I'm going to do it. Do you know that there will be those among the people who were sitting around you all of this time, all these years, or 4 years, and knowing that nobody's paying attention to this positive point here, that once you concentrate and make accomplishments and achievements in this area, they'll try to block you.
Yep.
They'll try to defame you. They'll do what they can to stop you. Don't go for it. If it's right, if it's necessary, and you have the inspiration to do it, do it. You just do it. And maybe the Most High will take this hindrance off your back. Maybe. Maybe when you bring your stuff up to a level, an acceptable level, Most High will remove that harasser. Maybe. We're only dealing with maybes here.
Right.
The only thing sure and certain is the laws, the statutes, and the faithfulness of the Most High God to do what he said he's going to do. Mama.
Verse 7.
That was the command. Go and do this and speak to this rock. The people are hungry. The people are thirsty. The people are stressed out. The people are aggravated. They're in an unfriendly environment. I can understand their state of mind. Not that those words that they're saying are acceptable to me. Not that they're being complimentary. But I can understand the situation. So I'll give them some relief. Speak to the rock. Now, you know a rock does not have water in there.
Yep.
A rock is just dry.
Numbers chapter 20, verse 7.
This would have been a great thing. Speak to the rock. It must have been a large rock, stone, a boulder, or something like that. That's the way my mind says it must have been. Which is not, I'm not speaking fact. I was just speaking what my mind says to me. Your mind might be saying something else to you. But it would have been glorification to the Most High. Not for Moshe. Moshe is now aggravated. He had it up to here with these people. 40 years of this stuff, man. Come on, do you ever get it? Leave me alone. He had it up to here.
Verse 7. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Take the rod and assemble the congregation, thou and Aharon your brother, and speak you unto the rock before their eyes, that it give forth water. And thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, so shalt thou give the congregation and their cattle drink. And Moshe.
Now, here's what Moshe did.
And Moshe took the rod from before Yahuwah, as he commanded
Like
him.
this.
And Moshe and Aharon gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels! Are
Sick
we
of
to
y'all!
bring you forth water out of the rock? And Moshe lifted up his hand and smote the rock with the rod twice. And water came abundantly, and the congregation drank they and their cattle.
Now, the water came out anyway. Most I gave the water because he wanted to give the water. Because he empathized with the people. The command was given. There was no compliance. The Most High did what he had to do for the sake of the people. But Moshe just committed a major crime. He acted totally out of character. His response was not at the level of his understanding. He was angry. Moshe was very, very angry. He snatched that staff. Come on! Walked over there to that rock. He had it. You know how it is to be nagged to death. Yep. You're doing the best you possibly can. Nothing you do is satisfactory. I mean, it's dealing with somebody that hates you. Nothing is satisfactory. Compliance is still major. You cannot allow frustrated people to aggravate you to the point that you become a hindrance to yourself. I mean, the aggravation will be there. Do you think that you could deal with your own people coming from where we're coming from and not experience aggravation? I mean, chronic aggravation. You know, you say compliance is mandatory, it's major. That says that innovation, modifications, slight changes, total rejection could be very hazardous to your existence.
Verse 12.
Beware of that anger now.
And Yahuwah said unto Moshe and Aharon, because ye believe not in me to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Yisrael, therefore ye shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them.
That is a death sentence. Moshe is flabbergasted right now. Man, why did you know how you do it? I know all of us know this one. Man, why did I do that? Did it again. Too late. Now, Moshe had the opportunity. It was in the works for Moshe to bring gloriously this people in, wage genocide on those 7 nations, and establish the will and the people of the Most High God in the earth, and to destroy all their enemies, all of his enemies. The women, the babies, the men, women with child in their belly, all of them had to die.
Yep.
Or they'd be there to be thorns in your eyes, harass you, destroy you, take your food, kill your people. Those were the choices. Death sentence. Moshe, with a death sentence on him. Now this is clearly a death sentence, and this is in his mind. Now, what we try to do normally when we commit those great crimes against the Most High, we try to make up for it. Even as we know in our minds, I did this thing, I did it, I'm sorry that I did it. But same situation, I'm not sure that I wouldn't do it again. Moshe tried to optimize his activities and his support to the Most High's program, as he normally would do. But that anger got the best of him, that nagging, that cursing, that vexation, that hatred. You know how you can look in somebody's eyes? Now, this happens with people that you care about. You really care about this person. And you look in that person's face, in their eyes, and all you can see that they have for you is hatred. That is unsettling. This is what happened with Moshe. He let it get the best of him and nullified his opportunity.
Okay. Verse 13. These are the waters of Meribah, where the children of Israel strove with Yahweh, and he was sanctified in them. And Moshe sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Yisrael, thou knowest all the travail that hath befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we dwelt in Egypt a long time. And the Egyptians dealt harshly with us and our fathers. And we cried unto Yahweh, and he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border.
Now wait, this was the Edomites. You know, when our father had a twin brother that they called Edom, there was enmity there. There was hatred there. These people have grown into a nation. I mean, through major treacheries, as they wiped out the Horites, who allowed them to come into their land, moved up the echelon and took control. Now it's no longer the land of the Horites, it's the land of Edom. They have had kings, princes. They have had judges, major accomplishment, organized society. And we have not yet had a king. We're just being introduced to our king. This is our enemy, then and now.
Yep.
You know that they are not suicidal. They are not going to assist you to overthrow them. It was not their intentions for us to have this information in our hands. That's why they put the other book on the back of it and said, go in there. New Testament.
Yep.
There ain't no New Testament. It's a trap. It's a snare. They are not going to help you to achieve the status where the Most High will fulfill upon them the words that he swore to perform against them, to destroy them to a man, everyone. We have to do this alone. We have no external help except for the Most High. All the nations knew we were down. They benefited from our demise. We have to do this together. We have to break down barriers that are created by the lack of understanding, ignorance, arrogancy, stupidity. We have to break down all the barriers that keep us separated. We must. We have no one else, no other nation.
Let us, I pray thee, pass through thy land. We will not pass through fields nor vineyards, neither will we drink of the waters of your wells. We will walk by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right nor to the left until we pass your border.